Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. We've got Vance.
It's a shell of a time.
We've got Chris.
Just quiet.
And I'm Kia. Hi, welcome to the show. We're reading some Ninja Turtles today. We read Ninja Turtles a while back. When did we read Ninja Turtles?
We read Ninja Turtles in summer 2020 because I was on a Ninja Turtles kick, and then we read Batman Ninja Turtles last year, March-ish. And then I've been on a Ninja Turtles kick because the new Ninja Turtles video game just came out.
Amazing.
It's really good. I actually played with the Your Stupid Minds boys, Nick and Chris.
Well, great. Well, we'll get to that. Before we get too ahead of ourselves, also we're reading Superman. We're doing our Superman for all seasons. We're on issue 2, Summer. That's coming up at the end. All right, but back to the Ninja Turtles game. You played it with Chris and
Nick from
who?
Your Stupid Minds.
Yeah.
It was a lot
who
of
guessed
fun.
it on the show.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We beat about half the game in an hour. It took us a little while to get online because of the Switch, but it was a blast. I mean, I've beaten it. Bruce has beaten it. My son Bruce has beaten it. He started doing his own fanfic. Doesn't give a shit about Ninja Turtles, but cares about. And what's wild though is all these bosses and background elements are like toys that are now in my parents' bathtub for when my kids go over. So they're like the Rat King's boat is in this 2022 video game that my kids just play with every week whenever they go visit my parents. And now it's fun to see Bruce make the connections oh shit, Metalhead. I play with this toy every day. I don't know what this is. But he's a boss in this game. Wingnuts here.
The Ninja Turtles are back, baby. I'm not a big if they ever left. I was never a big beat 'em up guy, but when I was a little kid, I definitely played the arcade games and everything. And I've watched a few playthroughs. It definitely evokes those old games while keeping it fresh and doing its own thing. It's a nice, solid entry into the Turtles franchise. But we thought we would go back and read some more Ninja Turtles. We kind of had a few things to choose from. There's a very current Ronin comic for the Ninja Turtles.
The last
Ronin. Which I think Vince wants to talk about. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But we thought we'd go back to a kind of classic story arc from the original series. We read the first 6 or 7 issues of the original series way back when with the original creators Eastman and Laird during the 80s. And then this was a little story arc from issues 19 through 21, just a 3-issue story arc called Return to New York. That's supposed to be sort of an important one in the Turtles ethos, and featured Eastman and Laird reuniting on the comic together because they'd both been so busy doing the cartoon, which had taken off, and the toys and the movies and all that.
Because the comic launched in '84, and these comics are what, 87 or 89? They're 89. So and the movie came out in
issue
90.
19. So issue 19 came out 5 years later, which gives you an idea of just how quickly the Turtles exploded in popularity, and they just didn't have time for the comic.
Comic 1 was 84, the cartoon was 87, and the movie was 90, which is an insane turnaround. And so I think Eastman and Laird, they would each individually write issues, the ones that are in between what we read for the last episode and this. But I guess they just got too busy with the business, and they keep talking about Jack Kirby got screwed, so we want to be like Jack Kirby, but keep control of our business. So I think that took over a lot of the responsibility for them. And then this is their arc where they decided we're going to do something together. And I think they do these 3 issues and then don't do anything for another 40 issues, where they do a year-long arc called City at War. So that's what this is.
Yeah, I'd never read any of those original Turtle comics other than the ones that we read. Had y'all read any of these before? Did y'all keep reading?
I read a couple because we read the first volume. This is the 3rd volume in collected editions now. I read a couple of the 2nd volume, but Eastman and Laird had kind of broken up. They did crossover comics also with a caveman character, I think, that was popular at the time, or one of their friends. It kind of got weird. Even this even this 3rd collection doesn't have all the issues, so I think that there was something weird. It's fine, but man, I really loved that first arc when we read it 2 years ago. It moved so fast. They killed Shredder in the first issue, and then they were in space by issue 4. It was insane. It was just pure insanity.
And from what I can tell, all right, we'll probably get into it with the story. Is there any other preamble? Anything else you want to mention? Chris, you didn't read any of these other things, did you?
No, other than what we've already read for the show, no.
Yeah, okay. Vince, what were you gonna say?
Well, I think they went somewhere. They got Shredder apparently came back in issue 10, but they didn't explain why. And so they're like, well, we got to solve how Shredder came back, I guess. And they got their asses kicked at some point, and they went and hid for like a year, is what I think this issue says. Out in Massachusetts or something. And now they're going to return.
Where they are? They didn't actually say. Let's jump into the story.
They're in some barn, right?
Yeah.
I may be confusing the cartoon because this has been adapted both for the 2003 and 2012 cartoon. Did arcs of Return to New York as well. So.
Okay. Well, we open on it's December 23rd. We can tell because Raphael is like passed out in the sewers, and he's got some newspapers on him that say December 23rd, and we flash back to December 19th. And they're in this hideaway, and they really don't say where they are, but they say that it's been a year that they've been hiding there. Raphael's getting real restless about the turtles being stuck there, and he was like, oh yeah, Shredder came back and kicked our butts, and we've been hiding out here ever since. And like, yeah, we've had plenty of time to heal up, and Leo has lost it. He can't lead us anymore. It's time to get back out there. And Leo comes in. He's heard all this, and he's like, "No, it's not time yet. When it's ready, we'll all go as a team, and that'll be how it's supposed to be." And Raphael's like, "Man, you're a coward. I'm gonna go out there alone." And Leo says, "No," and they fight for a little while. A long fight scene. It was like 6 pages of fights here in this issue.
And Eastman and Laird, they do note in the notes after this issue in this collected edition, like. So it's a black and white issue, and they're not using their weapons, so it's really hard to see who's punching who. That might have been a mistake.
Yeah, Leo does have his wooden sword for a while.
But they don't have like L's or R's on their belt to tell me who's who. And it's obviously, as we said, black and white. I think even like later cartoons changed their skin tones. So like
a little bit,
yeah. So like you can at least tell them, like, if you're just looking at an arm, you're like, that's Michelangelo's green, which is different than Donatello's green. Just to add to that, but we're in a black and white comic here right now.
Yeah, I will say, at least for this part, they mentioned each other's names enough that I was like, okay, I can tell what's generally happening. But most of the fight scene isn't like particularly visually interesting. There's no moment in the fights that I'm like, oh, this was a really cool moment in the fight. Like it's just a lot of general,
punching
stuff, punching and kicking and stuff.
All these issues really do get derailed by like just like multiple pages of fights that like are kind of like, well, that was cool, but okay,
right.
It's an artist driven book.
Yeah,
it definitely is. Leo knocks Raphael down, and Raphael's like, all right, now he's not playing. And they fight more, and Raphael throws Leonardo through a wall, and then he gets out of there. And then we cut to New York, and Raphael's in the sewers, and there's a bunch of foot soldiers going through the sewers, and then he fights a bunch of them, but then he gets to a bubbling pit that smells kind of familiar, and this big old monster or something comes out of it. Yeah. Well, that's that. Then the other turtles show up. Now it's December 25th. And there's a headline about Jessica Hahn subject to a church probe. I wrote this down because I thought it would be important later. This was not important. Who's Jessica Hahn?
No idea.
No idea. This might be a reference to a previous issue or a future issue. Who knows? So the turtles go back to their home, and Raphael's waiting for them. And he says, hey, what took you guys so long? I've got a plan, and I've got a little help. And it's a big old rhino monster who shows up.
Triceraton.
So I wrote down Rocksteady because I thought it was a rhino, but I was wrong. It's a Triceratops from that first arc, those aliens that they met in those first issues. So I know this guy. His name is Zog. Was this guy in particular in those issues? I don't remember.
It's been a couple of years. I don't know.
It's been a few years. So this first issue, was this like 40 pages? It was like 38 pages, right?
Yeah, it was long.
Not a lot really happened. It was like every fight scene and every scene is just kind of like very expanded, where you can read through this in like 5 minutes less.
Yeah, there's three scenes, like Raphael and Leo. Raphael fights for a long time, and then the last the last scene of Christmas where he's like, "I'm fine, guys, and I have a friend."
Christmas doesn't even really come up at all either, does it? Even though it's December 25th. That's cool. I guess turtles aren't really religious. So this Triceratops guy was like in this bubbling pit of stuff. Is that right? And he like comes out. We don't get a lot of clarity on this bubbling.
If it's
bubbling
or what
stuff. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool. I guess he was just hanging out there waiting for Leo to show up. So let's go to the second issue here, number 20. So Zog, he's one of those aliens. And he's going to be friends with the turtles now. He thinks that the turtles are generally on his side and that he's going to be saving the Republic with whatever he's doing, the Triceratops Republic. And he leads the turtles to a foot soldier communications center. And they beat up the foot soldiers there. Donatello gets into their computers. And Donatello finds a 3D schematic of Hudson Block. And they decide Oroku Sakai must be there. That's Shredder's real name. I remember that. It's a good real name, too, Oroku Sakai. I like it. Or is it Oroku Saki?
It's Oroku Saki in the movie? I know that.
Okay,
the 1990 movie.
Sometimes I wrote Saki and sometimes I wrote Sakai. I don't remember which one it is.
That's cool. Yeah, it's cool.
It's one of those two.
It's the Shredder.
Now, the Shredder. And Zog is this Triceratops guy's, I guess, kind of unhealthy in their world because he's an alien and this Earth oxygen is maybe getting to his mind a little bit. And he's kind of starting to go a little crazy. That's what the captions say. I don't know. I feel like he's kind of always crazy the whole time. He's the same level of crazy. But just alien stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I like that Raphael has to periodically go into like, "You're gonna get a promotion for this, Sergeant." I picture him doing like a voice that Zog is like, "Oh, good for Republic." That's what you have to do to reach him. Is like pretend you're in the military.
He's a really good character. I remember Eastman and Laird in their notes. I read some of them afterwards. They're like, we wanted to not have the story focus on Splinter or April or any of the other side characters. We really wanted this to be a story about the turtles. I was like, really? You kind of spent the most time in this issue on Zog. He's like the main character of this one.
Yeah, that doesn't hold water to me.
It really does.
If Donatello had one moment in these 3 issues, that might hold water.
You said he found the 3D schematic.
Yeah,
that's one.
That's his one moment right there. I don't think Michelangelo got a real moment though. So.
Yeah, Michelangelo was like, "Raphael, no," and he's like, "Don't start it," and then he just leaves.
Yeah, Michelangelo, it gets nothing to do. So what happens? They realize, okay, we got to get to this Hudson Block building. They have like a plan to create a diversion while they bust in there or something. Zog uses some alien tool to cut a hole in from underneath, and they get in there. They end up stealing a vehicle, and they plow through a whole bunch of foot soldiers. Then they're fighting. Zog ends up kind of overextending himself against a bunch of foot soldiers, and he's done. He dies. A little bit sad, but he
died in the battlefield, which is what he wanted.
Exactly. He did it for the Republic. And then after he's dying, the turtles look up and they're like, "Whoa, what's that?" And they see 3 Shredders.
Hell fucking yeah. Hell yeah.
But there's a short one and like a skinny one and a fat one. I'm like, what? And it's not even until the next issue that you see that there's like, oh, sorry, what's that, Vince?
I was about to ask. I'm getting to the page real quick. You can tell that one has a crab arm.
I saw that and I was like, what is that? Is that just a weird drawing? Can't be a crab arm. Nah, it's a crab arm.
Hell yeah.
The short one doesn't seem to have any sort of like special traits. It's just like a little munchkin shredder.
It's just the little one.
The medium one has like crab hands for some reason.
Yeah.
And the big one has 4 arms. Cool.
But like 4. Well, everybody has 4 arms, but he has 4 the numerical arms.
see
like
what you're
Goro
saying.
or Spider-Man
yeah.
in the Neogenic Nightmare episodes of the Spider-Man TAS before he turned into Man Spider.
He's got 4 forearms.
Yeah. Oh, like I just saw Minions 2, and one of the henchmen is named Jean-Claude, and he's got a big claw, like a big lobster claw, and I'm like, this guy fucking rules. His name is Jean-Claude, and he's got a claw. It's played by Jean-Claude Van Damme. It's great. It's perfect. Minions 2, never change. But that's what I kept seeing this guy. I do wonder though about the solicitations, because that's like your big like cliffhanger page, and then these 3 shredders are like on the cover of the next issue. Like I feel like you really undercut your cliffhanger.
Did they have that in the 80s though? I don't know.
Maybe they didn't. I guess you wouldn't go on the internet and go look at that shit. Maybe your comic book guy is looking through the previews magazine and be like, guys, there's about to be 3 shredders on this issue.
The previews magazine probably didn't even have the covers. Probably just a list.
That's probably true. Is previews magazine still a thing? Right in.
I think
post
it's
your comments
still
on allmyfriendsarerightere.com. We'd love to know.
I think it still exists. I don't know.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Diamond, who distributes comics, they put out like a monthly previews thing, which is like, here's everything that's coming out in the next few months, and that tells the stores what they want to order.
Yeah, because it was like 3 months ahead of time you would have to order your comics to be delivered,
mm-hmm.
and so you would have to like have, well, that cover has got 3 shredders. That looks pretty dope. I'll order 50 copies because I think my people will like it.
Yeah.
And then you'll get mad.
But I know these days, if there's a spoiler, then they might just have a generic image up there, or they might like have a label like not final cover or something like that.
Yeah, that's true, because you don't want to know that so and so is dead.
I don't think any of this applies to the 80s Ninja Turtles comics.
I doubt they were doing that for this. Yeah.
So we're already on issue 3. Is there anything else that happened in issue 2 that I skipped over?
No, I mean,
like I said,
we mentioned the death of Zog, everyone's favorite character.
Our best friend. He's Goliath level. We love him. Goliath in Civil War.
Yeah, well, he's basically a Dinobot, so I like him. He has like subhuman intelligence, looks like a dinosaur, but just wants to like die as a warrior. So A+ for me.
I liked it.
I feel like 6, 7, maybe like 11-year-old me would be all over this shit. This is cool.
Yeah, I probably would have spent more time like actually looking at the fight sequences and being like, oh, look, and then the Michelangelo is doing this and Leonardo's doing this. But like my adult mind just kind of flipping through. I was like, all right, fight, cool. Nothing standing out at me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bring on the shredder with the crab claw.
These guys stand out. So yeah, there's these 3 shredders. They're fighting him. They cut off the forearmed shredder gets one of his arms cut off, and it's worms.
Yep.
What? We don't really learn much about this.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I mean, Shredder explains.
Real Shredder explains.
Oh,
spoiler alert! Real Shredder shows up, and he's like, worms take on the characteristics of something that they eat, which I guess was probably some like 80s pseudoscience.
All right, sure.
It's the Shredder is sort of a reanimated hive mind of the memories of Shredder.
Okay, that's fair.
He's like Swamp Thing, but with worms.
Yeah,
right,
but these three are like the prototypes. When he takes off his shirt, he's like a guy. I guess the worms have
real Shredder.
Yeah, the worms have like figured it out now.
So Raphael, that's all in the future. We haven't seen real Shredder yet. Raphael runs off to find real Shredder. Leonardo is like mad at him for running off on his own, so he runs off after Raphael, and he's like, "Hey, we got to stick together." And like, Raphael almost gets beat up by some foot soldiers, but Leonardo saves him. Meanwhile, Donatello and Michelangelo are like kind of cornered and a little bit screwed, so Raphael goes to help them. And while Raphael's doing that, Leonardo goes off on his own to meet the real Shredder. Didn't he just tell Raphael not to do that? I'm very confused.
Let Michelangelo and Donatello like struggle and have stakes or something.
I don't know. Like Leonardo and I feel like Leonardo and Raphael like together teaming up against this real Shredder while Donatello and Michelangelo get themselves out of the jam might have been like cool, you know? But instead it feels like Raphael and Michelangelo and Donatello kind of did nothing.
Or Raphael like learning that Leo is a great leader or some shit like that, like
something.
Or like Raph gets hurt fighting Shredder, and then Leo leads the other remaining turtles to fight Shredder or something like that. To be like,
so just like anything that connects back. It didn't feel like it.
Yeah, instead like it's just Leo gets his moment instead.
Like, Raphael, you don't get to be the star who goes up against a Shredder. I'm the leader. So you go back and do not important things while I go be the important one. Cool.
Yeah. Was it Raphael or was it someone else who launched the little Shredder at the lobster Shredder? That was pretty funny.
That was pretty good. Is there anything else that was like cool in here? I remember the worms. There's nothing else I really remember from here though.
I mean, the final fight is pretty cool.
The final fight is good. So Shredder, he explains all that science stuff. He's like, yeah, the Foot Clan brought me back to life with their science. They're real smart. And then he derobes and they get ready for shirtless rooftop fighting. And again, a pretty good fight scene. It was fun. There's not like a particular moment that jumps out at me of like, oh, it's really cool when this happened. But it's like, all right, the art was fun. Maybe just because it was like, again, another Shredder's just cool to look at, you know.
I think Donnie gets. Is it Donnie gets the robot and fights all the foot soldiers with like the robot car?
Yep.
That was definitely
two moments, Vince. Two moments.
2 moments. Wow. All right, Donatello, you got it.
He does machines.
Yeah, they find.
He literally does.
Yeah, Donatello finds a gun that looks like that like Japanese former prime minister that got assassinated and like someone built a gun out of all that stuff. It kind of looks like that a little bit. It's real sci-fi futuristic stuff.
Fallout 4 weapon.
Yeah. And we had like what makes everything explode? I didn't notice
the
what
the rocket gun.
Okay. Yeah. And then everything's about to blow and the whole building just like goes completely blown to smithereens. And the turtles get out. I have no idea how Leonardo survives this, but there is a really cool splash panel of just Leonardo and Shredder like jumping at each other with their swords out. I don't know. I really like it. It's like real scratchy and dark and shadowy. It looks cool. I've been playing a lot of Sekiro. It reminds me of that. And I don't know. I kind of thought Leonardo might be dead here, but a few panels later, the turtles are hanging out in the sewers, and Leonardo shows up, and he's got the Shredder's body wrapped in a little canvas thing. And he's like, all right, I know what we got to do. And they put the Shredder's body on like a little raft, and they set it on fire, and they send it out into the river towards the Statue of Liberty.
We've read Ninja Turtles twice, and Shredder has died twice.
Yeah.
He's 0 for 2.
Yep. Shredder, you loser. But that was it for these 3 issues here. I kind of expected a lot more to be happening here. To be honest,
did too.
Especially considering how much the story has been retold, and it's like we read it because it's kind of an important story. It didn't feel that important. It was just like just kind of a regular turtle adventure.
That's what it felt like to me. I mean, Shredder died, but I didn't really feel like the stakes were that big. Maybe it coming out like so slowly, maybe it made it feel that way. I don't feel like, I don't feel like the turtles are clearly defined here, like at all as characters. I don't know if the cartoon or something else like made them more distinct characters that I know and love, but I don't see them here. Like I don't see like the 4 guys like each having their moments or contributing to the group in a way.
So here's my question. Was Donatello a nerd in the first ones that we read?
I don't remember now.
I don't think he was, because I feel like maybe that's one of the reasons why this is important, because they were like, hey, let's make Donatello the nerdy one. And it like to us, it's like, okay, it doesn't feel like Donatello got a moment.
He's nerdy enough.
We've seen him do all that, right? But this is like, maybe this was his first computer moment.
Yeah, maybe. And like this was the first time that like Raph and Leo like really fought it out. In a way,
I mean that's like, definite. Yeah,
that's like a core part of of Ninja Turtles that they hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
But damn it, they respect each other.
Yeah,
like it doesn't feel like it's all the way there.
Yeah. But maybe that's why it's important. Maybe that's why it was like, hey, this is where we decided to give them individual personalities, and that's why it's so important. I don't know. Could be. So yeah, it's there.
And probably in contrast to the cartoon, because I feel like the cartoon must have been blowing up by 89, because I was excited for the 90 movie. So I probably was in the cartoon by 89. Like this, you know, if you were just a slightly older, be like, yeah, but this is like the real turtles, and they're like badass, and they kill, and they have this like, you know, much more like,
and they have arguments.
Yeah. And they're not just fighting like, you know, Wingnut and getting body switched and shit. Like this, I can see, and then they team up with the Triceraton, and he dies. It's so badass. I can see how, like, absolutely, like, if I was a little older and reading this, I would have thought, like, this is really cool.
This is an important Turtles story.
Mm-hmm.
How far in the future are we? 30 years in the future?
Yeah.
I don't know if it holds up. Sorry, Turtles. Sorry, Eastman and Laird. I don't know. But they are back doing new Turtles comics. What's this Ronin thing?
The last Ronin. Deal? So they've been talking about this for, I think, decades, because I remember reading about this. So basically, Eastman and Laird have always had an idea, like the last Ninja Turtle story that they've always wanted to write. But you know, and so it is like a dystopia story. Like we read, like that Hulk Future Imperfect. I've only read the first half of it. But basically, all the turtles are dead except for one, and it's in the Eastman and Laird are writing it along with the IDW writer who's been writing it like in a separate series. But basically, all the turtles are dead except for one, and he's carrying all the turtles' weapons. And because it's kind of in that Eastman and Laird style, I think he's wearing a black mask. You don't know who the turtle is that's still living throughout the entire first issue, which is really cool. And then you subsequently, like, he does like try to infiltrate I think Shredder's grandson's lair, because it takes place 30 years from now, and he fails. And then you see him, like, it cuts between him planning a final assault on the Shredder's grandson while also intercutting how each of the turtles died. And so it's really, really well done through 2 of the 4 issues. Again, they're like 40 pages each. It's at all your local libraries. It just came out in trade like 2 weeks ago. I'm delighted by it in a way that I wasn't so much by this, but this is it's like that's suitable, like badassness, kind of Dark Knight Returnsy, you know, like where it's at like final story kind of thing. It's really well done. I mean, it's not the greatest book in the world, but it's a delightful tale. I was very enjoying it.
Cool. Yeah. Maybe we'll get to that at some point. Yeah. But I think that's it for the Turtles. For any other turtle related anything?
I watched the 03 cartoon version of this. They did similarly infiltrate a building. Donatello rode that robot thing, and then they did cut a hole through a pipe, but the Triceraton didn't do that. But they cut a hole. Yeah. They similarly cut a hole through. Yeah. No Zog. I don't remember if I didn't watch the full arc again, but I do remember that that cartoon did a really cool thing where they cut off Shredder's head and revealed that Shredder was actually a Krang robot in the belly of Shredder the entire time. Like a Krang alien kind of thing inside a robot body. And I thought that was a really cool twist for Shredder. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. And then the 2012 cartoon also adapted it, but I couldn't find that on Netflix or Paramount, a mountain of content. So that one, but that show was supposed to be really good as well. So
Nickelodeon owns the Turtles now.
Yeah, they bought them outright.
Streaming.
Yeah. Nickelodeon is all over this like thing where the Ninja Turtles are being brutally murdered. It's got Nickelodeon names all over the comic book, like on the trade dress. It's hilarious. They bought them outright from Eastman and Laird. I think they just cashed out for like however much, millions upon millions of dollars. Good for them.
Yeah. I'm surprised it took them so long.
Yeah, I think they held on to that, like wanting to be like Jack Kirby.
I mean, the action figures, they got a piece of the 90s action figures and then cashed out one of the revival cartoons. They're like, whatever, this isn't making as much money.
Good enough. We got one revival's worth of a cash out. We're good.
$60 million, yeah. Not bad. Cash it out.
Yeah. Not bad at all. Maybe we'll return to the Turtles franchise in the future. Lord knows there's plenty of it. But it is time for us to get back to our long read now. We have been doing Superman for all seasons in in memory of Tim Sale. And this is Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale. We did the first issue was spring. Now we're on to summer, where Superman has made it to Metropolis, and he's there. He's got a job as a reporter. Although this issue is kind of more heavily focused on Lois Lane. It's all narrated by Lois. First one was narrated by Pa Kent. What's Pa Kent's name?
Jonathan.
Jonathan. This one's Lois. Lois is talking about her lessons from Perry that she learned about reporting. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see, and everything that you write. Good rules to live by, I think. And Lois says that those rules are now BS before Superman, because he's flipped the whole damn script. And the first few pages of this are really just her kind of gushing over Superman, talking about all that kind of, like, oh, I'm the one who named him Superman. Some people wanted to call him Mighty Man. I was like, that's dumb.
He's got a big S on his chest. You can call him Mighty Man.
But we do know that's a Kryptonian symbol that actually isn't. It's the House of Kent or Kal-El.
Of course, it means hope or whatever. Who cares?
Whatever, it's an S.
And it's just overdone by like Tim Sale art of just like classic Superman art of like him flying through the city or flying in space with this narration.
Yeah, saving random people,
Sure.
stuff like that. She's talking about how she's met lots of disappointing men over the years, but Superman can wear a cape and not look stupid. That's interesting.
I thought that all men suck, but then Superman made me realize that maybe not all men suck.
Maybe not. She and Jimmy Olsen once worked out that Luthor must make $150 a second, which interesting tidbit. She says it would be a waste of his time to pick up $100 bill. Okay, cool.
I've heard that like factoid about like Bezos and them, and I'm like, I mean, technically he's not working right now. He's just like walking to another meeting. He's still got to be idle at some point. Like he's getting paid that money, whatever his $150 a minute, and then would pick up $100 on top of it. He made $250 this second or minute or whatever.
It's a bonus.
It's not like he's not working. He's not doing anything to earn that money in the first place. That's the whole.
And he's not doing anything to lose that money by picking up the bill. Come on, Lois, be a reporter, damn it.
I blame Jeph.
So, you liberal Daily Planet. Oh, let's hear both sides of Superman. Some say he's great. Others say not so great.
Oh boy. So Lois is like on some submarine, like doing some investigation. There's terrorists on board. Superman manages to come in and stop the terrorists, and like rips up the plane, rips up the sub or something. Luthor gets mad at him for making the taxpayers clean up his mess. And then one of the terrorists tries to hold Lois hostage. Superman takes the gun, and Lois beats the guy up. And pretty nice little scene. I like Luthor offers Lois a ride, and she's like, "No, I'm on a tight deadline. I'd rather fly with Superman." I think he was just about to offer that. And Superman tells Lex, better not find your fingerprints anywhere on this thing. And he flies away with Lois before Luthor has a chance to even say anything. It's good stuff. I like how frazzled Superman leaves Lex Luthor, even though I know that this is just building him up to be more and more of a supervillain, I guess.
I'm delighted by it. I know this is like well-worn territory, but
it's cute scenes.
I'm fine with this. I'm delighted by this book.
It's like it's well-worn territory, but not as well-worn as the first issue, which was all origin stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool. We're seeing it's really more origin stuff, but
it's also Lex Luthor origin stuff, which I'm more keen to see.
Yeah.
And the art's
Superman,
great job, Tim Sale.
The art's wonderful. I do like Lex Luthor with hair and like red bushy eyebrows.
Losing hair. He's got
hair.
He's got receding hairline. It's a great look.
I think he's gradually getting balder and balder as well.
This book this book does violate some rules of what I thought it would be doing, because it apparently is take place over years, just in the summer. They mentioned it's been like 3 years since the last issue, or part of it took place over 3 years, which I thought this was going to be like Long Halloween, where it was just 1 year, and that's not the case.
Yeah,
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, we're already like flashing forward, like he's got a degree and whatever. And he's like, "Where's Lana?" And they're like, "She left years ago."
Oh, I'm sorry. That's where it was. Yeah, okay. I was wondering where it
You're
was.
right. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I like Tim Sale's art, but Lois seems really off model to me. I don't know what it is.
Lois looks like she belongs in his
like
40s noir books, with her like super big eyebrows or eyelashes. I'm sorry.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. There's something about it where I'm like, this doesn't, because so much of Superman reminds me of the animated series Bruce Timm Superman design, but like the Lois is completely different than that design, so it looks wrong to me.
I didn't think about that while I was reading it, but you're right. There was something about it that I was like, oh yeah, there's a little bit of a different Lois. Maybe her hair was too long. I don't know. It does bother me. It was like spring 3 years ago, and now we're in the summer of 3 years later. Whatever. So
it does bother me. I'm like, this is not the established setup. This is supposed to be a year one thing where each takes place in a season, but that is not the case. It's super ticky-tack, and it doesn't affect the story. And I think the story's better for it. It's not just Superman's first year. It's better for it, but it bothers me.
It's weird.
Super ticky-tack, is that when Superman like launches mints out of like a tiny pocket in his belt or something?
Yep, exactly.
So Clark, back at the office, Clark asks Lois, like, hey, why were you on that sub in the first place? Or how were you on that sub in the first place? And Lois is like, we all have our secrets. Little does she know. Lois then is like kind of wondering, musing about where Superman goes when he's not being a hero. And she says, oh, Clark says he might have a fortress of solitude. But that just sounds silly. We just kind of see Clark relaxing at home. Then we see him go back to Smallville to visit his folks. And I guess he hasn't been back to visit them in years, even though he can fly there. Maybe he does go back to visit, but he just doesn't go visit everybody else.
He doesn't go into
town. That would be weird for him to do that. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, that like I mean you do that, Kia. Like you sometimes just visit your family, and you don't go out any farther. That makes sense to me.
That's actually pretty true. And if I could fly and make it there like every other weekend, it would be really weird because people are like, you're racking up a lot of money on this place.
Dude, like fucking let go Smallville, man. Like fucking we've moved on.
Move on, man.
Yeah, there's like one direct flight a day from Metropolis to Smallville.
You're jumping on a puddle jumper to get to Smallville, right? Like one of those
definitely
2-row planes, yeah.
Yeah, you're transferring it through Dallas or Atlanta to get to Smallville.
Do they even have like those American Eagle planes still? Do they still do that where you have to like go walk on the tarmac to get on the tiny plane?
Probably, I don't know.
I used to always do that, flying to like tiny Indiana towns.
Yeah, I was gonna say when I flew into Cedar Rapids, although it's been 15 years, I was outside the tarmac.
Yeah, we used to always do that because my grandparents lived like in a farm in Indiana. We'd always fly. Our second leg would always be on a tiny plane. Yeah, but either way, he's racking up a lot of miles.
Yeah, a lot of miles. And he's visiting with his family a little bit. Then he goes into town. He takes some flowers to Lana, like you said. But she has been gone ever since Clark left, and always traveling, maybe sending a postcard home every now and then. So instead, Clark spends the day with Pete. Nice little scene where everyone's like, oh, this big shot coming back to Smallville, eh? And they're so proud of him for being a big time reporter. They're the only small town that gets the Daily Planet in, which probably isn't true. I mean, if the Daily Planet, it's like a big metropolis paper.
If it's like the Times, the New York Times, I'm sure the few liberals in whatever small town are probably ordering the Planet.
Yeah. And then he goes back home. He tells his mom he feels a little bit out of place in the city and how he feels out of place in the big city, but now Smallville also doesn't feel like home anymore either. But she's like, you know what? It's okay. You'll find your way. Then back in Metropolis, it is the last day of summer and there's a big fire at Chemco Labs. But don't worry, Luthor has a new squadron of heroes who are there to help. He calls them the Guardians of the City. And they tell Superman to buzz off. They've already saved everyone who's in there. But Superman's like, no, y'all didn't. And there's somebody else who's still trapped in there. They fly in. Superman flies in and saves this woman. Then he spins around, sucks up the fire, takes it away somewhere and dissipates it into space or something. And this chemist who got saved is like, oh my God, Superman, this is my angel. She ends up devoting a shrine to Superman. Lex comes in and like wants to meet her later to her home and says, oh, well, if you love Superman, I know a way where we can use your talents to help Superman. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. This Daily Planet headline just says, he is my angel. Like, that's a pretty bad headline.
It's a really bad headline. But, you know, presumably you'd want to, I mean, hey, maybe I see that and go, who is whose angel? Maybe.
Chris Angel? Mind Freak?
Chris Angel. Mind Freak. So yeah, second issue, more happened, and I do like this issue. I don't know, there's stuff I like more about this issue for sure, but in a way I almost kind of like the first issue a little bit better. Something about that Smallville art is always really nice, but I don't know, they're both good.
I'm liking this in comparison to what we read with like Long Halloween and Dark Victories. Like, this doesn't have like a real like forward narrative. There's no fucking mystery or any shit like that. It's just pleasant Superman and his world and his supporting cast. I'm on board. I really am. I like it.
Pleasant Superman. I am curious to see what happens with this chemist here. Is she did we get a name for her?
Oh,
I don't know if we did.
Moved on to the next issue.
I don't know. I will say
Vaughn.
I am still not super loving this book. I mean, it's just maybe it's just bad timing, but like, this is 1998. Like, the Byrne reboot is like late 80s because it's post-crisis. The animated series reboot is like 1997, 1998, and so like, this is the third shot at this. I'm like, I'm sick of this. Like,
right. And then Jeph Johns is gonna write Superman's Secret Identity like in 06.
Yeah, this
not
is
Superman's
just
Secret Identity, some Origins.
Secret Origin, something like that. But this is just the cartoon, but like at a slower pace to me, or I'm just like, come on.
I do love the cartoon so much. I think the cartoon is better than this, but you know, I feel like this is like kind of, maybe that's why I like it. I've watched the cartoon and I loved it, and this is kind of a Cliff Notes reminding me of the cartoon a little bit, and I'm like, yeah.
Is that on HBO Max?
It should be. I haven't checked.
When we checked last time when we talked about Batman TAS, it wasn't on, and then
it's on now. I know Batman
TAS is on now. Yeah.
I feel like they're gradually getting the whole everything that was on the DC Infinity formerly its standalone media service, now just comics. They've figured it out. It's just a comics app.
That was so stupid that they decided they charged the same as much as Marvel Unlimited and gave us comics, and then decided we're going to make a bunch of original programming for this thing too. God, that was stupid.
Harley Quinn season 3 coming out soon,
like next
on
week
HBO
or
Max.
something, right? God,
yeah.
That shows it's been too long. That was like our first week of the pandemic.
Yeah, they definitely. I mean, that was definitely the Netflix special. Like, they filmed or they made the first 2 seasons together. Probably 3.5 years ago.
Yeah, it's been over. I feel like we watched Harley Quinn season 2 like March 2020. I want to say it's been, and we were late to it. All of the animated series is on HBO Max, or at least 3 seasons of it, which I think is probably all there is.
I think, and then you've got Justice League if you want even more of Tim Daly Superman. That scene where he talks to Darkseid and he's like, all my life I have to be careful because this world's made of tissue paper or whatever, and then punches Darkseid a bunch of times. The best.
Hell yeah.
Good show. I'm just looking at all the voices that were in the show as well.
I'm flipping through these
I won't
episodes,
spoil
and
it for you.
I see the Joker teaming up with Lex Luthor on World's Finest Part 1, Season 2, Episode 16. Hell yeah.
That was when they reintroduced the new style of Batman. I love that episode.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you've got Metallo is British actor Alex DeLarge. He's I'm blanking on names. I was bad on my last episode of Your Stupid Minds as well. But great voice cast. Dana Delaney is Lois Lane, I think. Tim Daly is Superman.
Yeah, watch the show.
From Wings.
That's right.
So of course, next time we'll be continuing our long read of Superman. We'll be reading Superman for All Seasons with the season of Fall in issue 3. Who knows how many years in the future that'll be, though. And then we are going to, for our next issue, our main read is going to be Jason Aaron. Have we ever read or talked about Jason Aaron on the show at all?
We always mention his Wolverine in the X-Men run, where Wolverine takes over the gifted school for youngsters. We always mention that, and I freaking love him. I think he's like one of the few like Marvel writers that just like we talk about like Brubaker and we talk about like Bendis, but like Aaron is like deserves to be in the picture. Like he's such a solid writer. I like going back and reading his stuff, and so much of his stuff is in the new Thor movie. Like he created the Jane Foster Thor, and he created Gore the God Butcher, the villain that Christian Bale plays in that movie. Like a lot of Jason Aaron creation is in this new Thor movie. He's got a freaking solid Thor run that's like jumps over series. You need to look at reading guide because it keeps getting relaunched over like a 7-year span. Like Mighty Thor number 1 through 12, and then Thor 1 through 24. It's really messed up.
Well, be careful. You're going to trick people into thinking we're reading Thor.
We're not talking about Thor, although
we're not here to talk about
that. But that's what
today.
prompted this. Is like Jason Aaron's great. We should read some Jason Aaron. But we are still in no superhero summer, so we're going to read something else by Jason Aaron.
Yeah, we are reading Scalped by Jason Aaron, which is a Vertigo book from about 2006-2007. Art by R.M. Guera. And I don't really know anything about this book at all, other than that it's by Jason Aaron. And I think Chris has read some of this and said it's good.
I read about 50 issues. I didn't finish it because it got a little too sprawling. But it's Indian reservation noir, so it's noir like crime stories, which I love. Like, but in a environment that's not usually get stories. It's real fascinating. It's a real good story. I mean, Chris, I think you were doing like res law at the time or something.
I don't remember if which came first, but yeah, I've done American Indian, I've learned American Indian law stuff when I was in law school and read this book, which is about it's not really a twist, but because you find out about it at the end of issue 1.
Yeah.
But someone who left the reservation comes back to work in the casino because is it the FBI thinks that basically they're going to bust the guy running the casino, which again is very similar. Without we'll talk about it next episode, but it's very similar to a story that I'll have on deck about a real tribe in Texas and a story that is almost too crazy to believe, but it really happened.
Wow!
Oh, he's going to violate finally.
Oh my God!
Attorney-client privilege. He's going to violate it next episode.
That's right. I'm going to violate attorney-client privilege.
Next episode. Tune in next time. Yeah. So
find out
the first volume.
Find out what the FBI told me in confidence.
Whoa! This is clickbaity for sure. I love it. So the first volume is the first 5 issues. It's called Indian Country. It does bother me a little bit. It's not called Native American Country. I'm sure I'll complain about that a whole bunch more next time. But
they call themselves American Indians, Kia. It's okay.
Is that the proper nomenclature now?
If you go, if you go to Washington D.C., it's the Museum of the American Indian. Like that's Native American is correct, but it's to me, and I'm not Native American or American Indian, but it's if you are not trying to say it as a slur, if you're saying American Indian, they know what you mean.
That's okay. Okay. Good to know. So yeah, we'll be reading that next time, along with Superman and what else? How's your Stupid Minds doing, Chris?
It's going great. We just released an episode. We're going back to our roots, back to the early '90s slasher movie with Ted Raimi cashing in on, I guess, Doctor Strange being out for a few months, and Tracy Lords in a slasher film directed by the guy who was dating Heidi Fleiss at the time she was arrested. Or I guess they may have been broken up at the time. But a real director who was a 50-some-year-old Hungarian terrible director dating a 25-year-old madam.
Oof.
Okay.
It's
what's the name of the movie?
The movie's called Skinner. Again, Ted Raimi is a serial killer named Skinner.
Okay. He skins people.
Okay. All right.
Cool. Sam Raimi's brother?
Pretty.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah, it's Joxer the Mighty from Xena Warrior Princess, if y'all remember that show. I'm sure he's in every Sam Raimi movie except Doctor Strange. He's in all the Spider-Man movies. Every time you see like a nerdy Midwestern guy who's in like one scene in a Spider-Man movie, it's Ted Raimi.
Oh, this guy. I feel like I have seen this guy. He's Sam Raimi's brother.
Yeah.
Oh, he was in Twin Peaks. Okay.
He was. He's a good actor, honestly, for being like Sam Raimi's brother, and that's why people know who he is.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, he was in The Quarry as well, which is like one of these movie video games, choose your own adventure deals that kind of came out.
Oh, that's supposed to be good, right?
Yeah, I've heard good things about it.
I have not checked that out, but yeah, he's great. He's surprisingly buff in that movie. He takes his shirt off. Tracy Lords, of course, is a former porn star who I guess sort of infamously, like, after she was a huge star, is like, oh, I just turned 18. And so they had to like ban everything she'd ever been in.
Oh no!
Then she became like a regular like John Waters like person. Okay. So she was in like 3 or 4 John Waters movies, and I guess parlayed that into being into this movie for some reason.
Great, good job, good decision. Well, Vince, how about you? Anything on the horizon?
Nothing to report. Just some of my friends read comics. Check out our back catalog. We did a couple Ninja Turtles episodes. And we have not done any Jason Aaron episodes, but check in next time. Again, we're really clickbaiting an episode that's not going to come out for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Great. It's summertime. I feel like I've been playing a ton of video games here, especially in a post-Elden Ring world. I've had to really just play everything in order to fill that itch. So I've been playing a ton of Sekiro, The Messenger. Y'all heard of this game called Vampire Survivors? It's like $3, early access on Steam. It's wild as hell. I want to stream games again, but I need a new PC, so I need to build a new PC. But that's like a whole thing, and it's like, do I wait until there's a new CPU and like new CPUs, new GPUs coming out this year? Oh boy, lots of decisions to make.
Are you having that kind of like dead zone where nothing's giving you like the pleasure that like Elden Ring gave you? Because I had that with like Breath of the Wild, where it took me like 2 months.
No, it's kind of it's almost the opposite, where I was so in love with Elden Ring that I put so much time into it, and then I'm like, oh, I do love video games, and I just want to get back to video games and spend more time playing video games, and they're all so good, and yeah.
Okay, cool, awesome. That's good.
I do end up like trying a lot of games. I've got like such a big back catalog of like, oh, this was free, why not? I'll pick this up, or this was cheap. I've heard good things about it. I tried what's it called, Ukulele and the Impossible whatever. You know that one? I've heard good things about it.
It's like their attempt at making a
like a 2D Donkey Kong Country. I didn't care for it. I heard it was supposed to be the better one, but it didn't work for me. Didn't work for me. But it's okay. You know, not every video game is going to be for everybody, and that's the joy of art. Well, I got nothing else to add.
It was a shell of a time, Kia.
A shell of a time indeed. Well, it's been fun. Vince, I love you.
Love you too, buddy.
Chris, I love you.
For the Republic.
Oh no, he died.
Oh, no.
Damn.
But he died doing what he loved, a podcast.
Doing what he loved. Yeah, and he did it for the Republic. That's nice. Well, listener, we hope you, I love you as well, and I hope that you will all celebrate Chris doing what he did. Doing what he loved. It's time to end this episode. Bye, everybody. Have a good night. Talk to you next time. Bye.